Hello and welcome to the Shine Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their knitting, comedy and yarn in equally large measures. I'm your host, Jo Milmine, and this is episode 142, Eat, Sleep, Knit, Repeat.
I feel a need to laugh again with you, if that's alright.
Hello and welcome to episode 142. Hiya, I'm Jo, I'm your host, and today is Friday the 24th of April 2020. Already, I know, good grief. Wouldn't be that bad if I hadn't left two planners, not one planner, I bought two. I've not wrote a bloody thing in them and I've left them both in China and I don't know when I'm going to get them back, and I just feel like I've added massively to the recycling pile and not into the let's get Jo organised pile. But there we go. So if you are with me for the first time today, welcome. Great to have you here. And if you are a returning listener, a delight as always. Thank you for coming back and joining me again for another episode of the show. So yeah, today we've got quite a bit of chit chat. Not that much knitting content. I'm just going to give you a bit of a rundown of what I've been looking at and thinking about making, but not an awful lot of talking about what I've actually been making because there hasn't been an awful lot of knitting going on, which is like vaguely disappointing. I have to admit, like it's not what you would expect necessarily, but what can you do? If you don't feel like knitting, you don't feel like knitting. And I know a lot of you are struggling with the same sort of thing at the moment. So you know what, sod it, let's just roll with it. We'll have a bit of a chit chat. I'll keep you company for like half an hour or so. Might not be like the world's most technical or best knitting content, but I'll be there with you. And we can have a bit of a natter, a bit of a laugh, and talk about future projects, probably like things to make, knit vicariously. I'm thinking about it like an athlete would visualize running a race. You know, that makes you better at it once you get round to it. Fact. So that's what I'll say we're doing right now with Eat, Sleep, Not Knit, Repeat, as today's title goes. So to start off with, we'll have a couple of shout outs for listeners. And the first one goes to Christine in Canada, who sent me a Ravelry message. Hello to you. She's working from home too with her kiddies. And to Cibola, who replied to my question on learning Mandarin, or a chat we had on learning Mandarin in a previous episode where I talked about how I can't hear one of the tones, so I'm really bad at Mandarin. Well, it turns out it's not just me. And she accidentally called her host mother on exchange in Taiwan a host horse by getting the tones wrong. Orcs. And another shout out as well to Donna. Donna's a copper and she's got a big gun and she's in America, and she listens in the car, and she just sent me a message saying it's so nice when like I'm listening in my car. And in my head, like I have names, I have nicknames for everyone, and I have like soundtracks for people, like things that I hear in my head when I see someone's name or someone sends me a message or whatever. And for Donna, somewhat unsurprisingly, it's Bad Boys. So like whenever she'll send me a quick message on Insta or whatever, I just hear Bad Boys, what you gonna do? Like I am a copper with her. It's amazing. Anyway, hi Donna to you. Hope you're catching all them bad guys and eating loads of donuts. No stereotypes here, of course. And hello to everyone else who is listening today. Like I say, it's always awesome to be back hanging out with you and having you listening, and I really appreciate it when you take the time to send me memes, and thank you Cosmic Knitter, and send messages or whatever else and tell me what you are up to. It's really cool. So in today's episode, we're going to have a little bit of chit chat to tell you what we've been up to, really, kind of like the COVID time capsule. Oh, I've been busted. The beast is in here. She's after something. What are you after, sis? She's after something. She got a life-threatening hot glue gun injury yesterday. So we're going to stay away from the hot glue gun today, aren't we? What do you want? Paint. We haven't got any paint. Anyone else got this all the time now? Like, they don't want to know when you're supposed to be doing schoolwork. It's like, no, I'm so bored. I desperately need to go and create or craft this or do this or whatever. No, I'm so tired. I can't do any more school. And then the minute you're not doing school, then they're too bored. The minute you want to do something, for yourself, like your thing, then the board. Anyway, the other day she took it upon herself to do a bit of artwork when I was off doing something. I can't remember. I think it was, might have been outside. I might have been planting something outside or doing something quickly. Anyway, I wasn't even gone that long. And came back, and on the kitchen table, she'd done a bit of artwork. And this artwork basically consisted of a gravestone with one sad, lonely, partially wilted flower at the side of it. No colour, not a scrap of colour on it. And on the gravestone, she'd stenciled with her stencil, Isabella, died of bore 2020, and just left it there on the table. Mummy, I've died of bore. Oh, she kills me. And then she didn't want to do the work, like, I've got loads of work to do. No, I'm not doing that. Don't want to do that. And obviously you can't spend all day doing schoolwork, really, because you've got other stuff you need to do, like feed people 15 times a day, do the washing 50 times a day, all that kind of stuff, forage for food, play kind of like co-op roulette to see if there's going to be a queue outside the co-op, or whether you can just get in, whether you're going to get your 50-50 medium sliced, or whether you're going to be stuck with the little old lady white toasty loaf like I was last week. Went in for some bread. That mad for the bread. They want toast all the time. And went for some bread because we ran out of bread. I'm like, yeah, they'll totally have some bread in the co-op. They've got like a little bakery, they'll have some bread. And I got in there and all the 50-50 medium slice was gone. Thick slice gone. Everything was gone. The only thing left was like those miniature 400-gram loaves of bread that they have for little old ladies. The Warburton's white toasty that is purely there for little old ladies to have toast and tea. That's all they had left. And they're tiny, like they're half the size. So then they want like 15 slices of white toasty because they're still starving. Lasted about 30 seconds before then I had to go and find somewhere else. So I've now got like a rotating 50-50 medium stash of frozen bread. I saw it. I went in a few days later and they had some. I'm like, right, I'm having two loaves of that. That'll be gone in 2 days. Anyway, moving swiftly on. We've been, she's thrown me off now. Like, I was supposed to be doing an intro. So we're going to have, like I said, a little bit of chit chat and a little bit of knitting chat, and run through some stuff I've been reading. I've been doing a lot of reading recently, and just give you a quick rundown of a couple of books I've read and what I thought of them in case you fancy any of them. It's been very, very vampire and witch heavy. I'm a big sci-fi fan anyway. I love Terry Pratchett. Like, I'm not really into anything that could be real, but we've been heavily into the vampire, witches, trolls, supernatural stuff. And why not? Let's have a little bit of escapism. So yeah, first up on the chit chat then. I've been doing a bit of gardening. Been doing some gardening. Obviously I have to mow the lawns and stuff. I don't mind mowing the lawn. It's quite chills me out. I've got like a cordless mower that's really light to push around, so I quite like that. I don't mind, pushing my little mower around when it's later in the evening. It's quite nice because the sun sets on the front of our house, so it's really warm. So right now I've got the window open, and that's why often you can hear kind of background noise. Although I've got a background noise piece of software on today, so you probably might, maybe you'll still hear something, but I have to have the window open. It's really warm. It's very sunny today in the UK. It's been sunny for about a week, which has involved then having to water the lawn, which for a northerner is like sacrilege. It feels really rude if I have to water the lawn because it rains all the time. You never have to do anything with your garden. You just like mow it occasionally. Jobs are good and throw a bit of feed and weed around. But I've been having to water it because the feed and weed went on and there's not been enough water for it to actually work. Anyway, I'm doing a little bit of gardening, every bugger's doing the garden at the moment because they're all stuck at home. So you can't get hold of anything. And I managed to get hold of some stuff from a garden centre close by that does like click and collect. So you could order everything. It was very mandrolic. You had to go on the website. You had to spot on Facebook that they're taking orders. Go on the website, download the Excel spreadsheet. And anyone who loves Excel, I'm not that into Excel, but anyone who's like an Excel person is like, I can't believe you're using that as an order form. Like, it does all of this really complex data analysis and you can do all these great things with it and you're using it as an order form. But you had to download the Excel spreadsheet, fill in the order form, which in fairness did add it all up. So there were some kind of functions in there. and then save it and email it back. And then a week later, when they finally got down the list of emails to it, they rang up and were like, yeah, we've got all your stuff. You can come pick it up. And obviously I'd ordered it all online. I'm not Charlie Dimmock. Like, every time I've got stuff from the garden centre, they've not been very big. So I'm like, nah, they'll only be little. It's not expensive, so they can't be the big ones. 5-foot laurel bushes later, my brother went to pick it all up for me, and he's pulling them all out of his builder's van. He's like, how much you bloody ordered here? Because he could barely get all of it in his van. I'm like, well, like, you don't know how big it is. They've not got any pictures. I don't know how big it is. There's no dimensions. How am I supposed to know? So the laurel bushes are still not planted, by the way. I managed to give myself a really serious bruise injury from trying to stash them somewhere where they wouldn't blow over all the time. But I need to dig in the garden. I need to dig a load of compacted motte out of the garden to the space where I want to plant some of these laurel bushes. And I've not quite got round to that yet. But I've been planting some begonias. I do love a begonia. They're not supposed to be planted out yet, but I'm like, yeah, meh, whatever. It says it's going to be hot for the next 2 weeks, and then it's not going to be frosty in May. Honest, in the UK. So I've been planting some hanging baskets, and feed them. I've even scarified my lawn. Borrowed a little, one of those machines from next door. They've got one, a scarifying machine thing. I disinfected it all. It was at a safe, appropriate distance, and hammered the lawn basically and got loads of stuff out of it. So I'm all about like my bowling green lawn right now. So I've been doing quite a lot of that, which has been cool. And yeah, I quite like it. It's quite satisfying. I've got a bit of a reputation for not liking flowers, because I'm not frou-frou. I don't like the whole flowers and yarn posing of pictures thing on Instagram. It makes me a little bit eye-rolly. But I do like a begonia is not like a non-showy flower. Like the trailing begonias as well. They're proper like floofy and over the top. I do actually quite like flowers, just not with my yarn. I like to keep my interests, siloed in some respects, apart from yarn, which is an interest that, spans everything, along with the gin, which, spans the silos. And yeah, I've got all that planted. I've got some little plant pots of violas as well. They came out. They were again. I thought they'd be tiny. I was thinking I could just pull out like the 2 bits of plant and put them in my other planters. And anyway, it turned out they were full up, just super cheap because we're in the north. Hanging baskets full of violas. So they're all around. My patio looks a little bit like a pub garden at the moment because there's just flowers all over it. But it's quite cool. Quite enjoying it. I need to dig out some more stuff and make some space and plant some more plants and get some fence paint, which is also you thought toilet paper was bad. Don't try getting fence paint anywhere in the UK right now. It's just not possible. And I know it's not an essential piece of kit necessarily, but if it keeps everyone in their back gardens, I think it's a good thing. So yeah, I've not managed to get any of that. But, when I find somewhere that I can get on mail order, then I'm all over it. I'm going to be painting my fence and everything. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, if you're doing any gardening or you've got any gardening tips for me, one of my friends has started reading the RHS magazine. I'm not quite there yet. I've not started planting magnolias or anything. But yeah, I'm not a massive gardener, but if you've got any good people to follow or any good tips, then that would be ace, because I bought some Buxusballs and I have a miniature Buxus. Apparently it's a miniature Buxus hedge. I didn't know that. It was just the little hedge that was there when the house came type thing. But I bought some Buxusballs because I accidentally planted. I didn't accidentally. I did it on purpose. I'm just clueless. And I planted some eucalyptus 2 years ago in these little kind of raised beds in the walls of the Bry area. And obviously it's bloody massive. It was about 20 centimetres tall when I planted it 2 years ago. And the one that I planted in the front, I've had to cut back about 4 times. It's 6 foot tall. So it was completely trashing the Bry area. So I had to take them out. So I thought I'll just get some Buxusballs. I've seen it on Pinterest. We'll go a little bit minimalist. I mean, maximalist everywhere else, but this part can be minimalist. And I've got some flamingo white chippings of 5 bags still in the garage. Get them used up, jobs are good in. But they didn't have enough. So I've only got 4 Buxusballs. I need 6. What I didn't realise, because I'm clueless, I was like, I can smell onions. It smells really strong of onions. And apparently it's the Buxus balls, but it's not onions either. I can smell it's cat pee. Apparently the smell of cat pee. I hate cats. Like, I don't mind. That's not a secret. I really don't like cats. They're selfish and horrible and they scratch everything. They're just mean. And I've now got bushes that stink of cat pee. And I didn't know. Sad times. So save me from myself. If you've got any really good websites for people that not too serious, like, you know what I'm like. I don't want anything like too highbrow, but stuff that looks nice with minimal effort that I can get in a Northern Garden Centre. They are the things for me. So definitely let me know about that. I tried to get the helpers in the garden, but Sam I Am, bless him, I asked him to help me dig out the weeds so I could put down some chippings. I ordered some more bark chippings to put down in the garden to get rid of the weeds. And I asked him to start digging the weeds out to help me. And he had this little trowel, bless him. And all he did was dig a massive hole. Didn't even dig out one weed, dug a massive hole. And then he stood up and then he just crossed his little arms and he went, "Mummy, I quit." And as he said, "I quit," he uncrossed his arms in the I quit, kind of international sign for I quit. I'm like, "You quit?" He's like, "Mummy, yes, I quit." I was like, I said, "You've not even started. How can you quit? You've done nothing." So they were basically ended up sat on the sun lounger watching me sweating my absolute knackers off, digging out all these different bits of weeds so that we could put this pine stuff down. And it was very definitely Christmas tree chippings because my garden just stank. It basically smelled like toilet duck for 2 days from all of the pine chippings. So, yeah, all good. I've also been really wanting a new car. I didn't realise how much I really like driving until I wasn't allowed to drive anywhere. And I do go over and see to my mum and dad like once a week because they're like vulnerable. So I go over and sort them out, make sure they've got everything they need and what have you in my car. And it's the most amazing thing. Although, has anyone else noticed that everyone appears to be Ayrton Senna right now? Like, not dead, but a racing driver. Everyone is driving super fast. I'm like, can you get any closer to the back of my car? Dude, you are like right up my arse. And I have a sizable one. Like, you can't miss it. How are you so close? I know the opticians is closed, but you should really consider as soon as they open getting your eyes tested. There is no need to be that close to me. Like, move back. It's just weird. People driving like absolute bonkers. And apparently it's a thing. The police have found people on the motorway doing like 130 miles an hour on the M62. It's like, what are you doing? You're not even supposed to be out of your house and you're caning it down the M62 and you're souped up Nova. Like, what are you doing, you losers? Go home. So I really want a new car. I really, really want a new car after this. Because I just love driving and I'm all about when this is over, I'm going to only surround myself with things that make me super happy, like a Mini. I want a ragtop Mini. I used to have a Mini, but I had to sell it because it was really thirsty and didn't fit dogs in it. But I'm like, no, I need a Mini in my life. Definitely need a Mini in my life. So that's definitely on my list of stuff to do. And we were talking about, I was talking on Instagram with someone about old cars, like cars that you've had, because the car I've got currently is very sensible. It's great for dogs. I have a roof box for it, but I'm just like, I'm 37 years of age. I'm not dead yet. And I need some wheels that truly reflect my personality, that are a joy to drive, that don't leave me sat there thinking, this was the upgraded speaker pack when I bought this car. And the bass is inadequate to listen to Tiffany's I Think We're Alone Now. Like, I've got my proper mix CD on and what I need from you, Renault, should have been a clue, really. Never buy a French car. It's decent speakers. Like, if I'm going to sing along to I Think We're Alone Now, I need a bit of bass, my love. And I don't have it. So I need something with better speakers. And my Mini had amazing speakers that also had upgraded speakers. And I've just been all about this whole mixtape thing. Like, I want to play this mixtape and for it to sound amazing. And we were talking about, I got into this chit chat about cars. I just put random thoughts in my stories and then end up chatting to people about them. And I was talking about the Nova, because the car that I have now is called Norman. The reason it's called Norman is because it reminds me of the Twix advert, which was from sometime, I'm sure it's Twix. I'm sure it was Twix. Sometime in the kind of early noughties, where the entire advert. It was about this guy called Norman, and the entire advert was grey. Everything in it was grey because it was all boring until he had a Twix. That's what Norman's like. Everything about him is grey and boring. I mean, we're on the second engine because the first one blew up on the outside lane of the Lim interchange, which I covered in an earlier episode about Pod Retreat 2. And it weren't even that old, and it blew up. It's just crap. Norman's just crap. He just doesn't inspire joy. He doesn't spark joy. It's just Norman. So I need some new wheels, basically, after this. And we, like I said, we went through a list of cars. Norman is the current car. My last one before this was Luke, because he was the Mini Cooper S with everything on it I wanted, because I was a young gun and, didn't have any responsibilities, and I wanted this amazing car. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get this car. And every time I saw it, I'd go, Luke, at my Mini. So he was called Luke. And I had a Nova. The Nova was called, that was my mum's Nova. That was my first car, was my mum's Nova. And it was white, J-Reg, Vauxhall Nova, 1.2. And it was called Poppy because it had this massive plastic poppy on the front from Poppy Day. From obviously at Cadets, I used to sell kind of poppies at Poppy Day. And it was amazing. It was the best car ever. Absolutely knackered. I mean, the head gasket was completely shagged on it. And I used to have to carry around like a bottle of water, 2-litre pop bottle of water to fill up the water because it was all kind of going through the engine. Just steam coming out the back of this thing. Anyway, it met a sticky end. It did end up getting burnt out, actually. It was found burnt out at some stage, which I assume was an insurance job from the person who owned it after us. But my mum used to drive it around with next to no fuel in. Literally, it was like a game with her. She had this weird witchy sense for being able to judge the fuel gauge. And it was always on the red. Sometimes it was below the red on the white line that goes around the red, and she figured out that it could even get below that before it would run out of fuel. She never put any petrol in it. And she parked it outside of the bingo in Wigan, because she used to be into bingo before she was into Crown Green Bowling. She was into bingo, and she parked it outside the bingo, and it got nicked from outside the bingo. And the bingo used to be connected to Debenhams before they knocked it down and turned it into a new, it's called the Grand Arcade now. So it got nicked from the road outside of Debenham, outside of the bingo, taken around the block, gone to Debenhams. The people who stole it ran into Debenhams, smash and grab, stole a load of trackies, threw them in the Nova, sped off. And it was quite quick, in fairness. It all depends on like the weight of your right foot. It also had a manual choke. Do you remember manual chokes? Oh my word. And anyway, it fired off, and it ended up being found on the Wirral. Now, there's no way it got to the Wirral, right, without them having to fill it up. And that's what it turned out. They had to take this stolen car to a petrol station and put some fuel in it, because my mum ran it on empty. And, you didn't need that much to get the quarter of a mile home to the bingo, but to take it 20 miles or whatever, 25 miles to the Wirral, you need like some actual fuel. And I think that's how they caught them in the end, is they caught them on the CCTV at the petrol station. So yeah, crazy. First car stories though, eh? First car stories. Had a micro after that. I can't remember his name. Rob, I think it was. Nothing to do with the theft of tracksuits. But anyway, yeah, I've been thinking about new cars and researching new cars. I've also been finding joy in curry. I got a curry yesterday. My favourite curry house that's not been open for 4 or 5 weeks. It closed just after my birthday, which is in March, and they reopened for collections only. Well, I was straight on the phone. I ordered my cuzza. It came all packed up in a little box, and honestly, I was so excited, and super grateful. Like, gratitude can like last for days. Everyone's like, you need to be grateful. Write down 3 things today that you are grateful for. Nothing compares to that feeling. And now all of you have experienced that feeling, because this happens to me quite a lot. I've got a lot to be grateful for, because in China, I am not getting a decent Indian curry for shizzle. Like, I can't go to the corner shop and get drinkable wine either. Great Wall is not a drinkable wine. It's just not drinkable. It's not the same thing. And I come back to the UK and I'm like, it's so amazing. I can read all of the signs on the shops. I can go into the Co-op and I can get really nice wine for about £5 in the local shop, along with like milk and yogurt and sour cream and cheese that's not Kerrygold cheese, and all these amazing things. And I can like walk up to the shelves and buy a magazine in English that I can read without having to go to a specialist shop. And it honestly, when you've been away for a few months and you come back and you're just like, oh, everything is so easy, you know, and so convenient, and I'm so lucky, and I can't believe how lucky I am to be able to just get this just so easily. It's amazing. And it wears off surprisingly quickly, disappointingly quickly, but I'm kind of back in that with the curry. And honestly, I was so excited all day, and I was like ringing up constantly for 15 minutes. And then one of my friends, who's terribly well connected, she's like the mafia. I'm like, I can't get through, because she'd had a curry the day before. And she's like, try this number. There's only me that rings it. Zach will know it's me. He'll think it's me, because there's only me that ever rings it. Gets through, gives them all of my love. I'm like, I'm so glad you're open. I've missed you. Here's my ridiculous order, because I'm ordering freezer curry. And went to get it, and so excited. Just the buoyancy of a red hot stinking curry, naan bread, everything. It was so good. It's just the little things, it's the little victories when we're in tough times, or we're not, we've got clamps on our freedom. It's the little things are the things that get you through. That little scrap of poppadom, amazing. It's those little things that really kind of spur you on. It's not the big things. It's actually that the little tiny victories, like getting. I had a few to choose from. I did, but because the lamb tikka dansak freezes really well, I kept that for the freezer, and I went for the garlic lamb chili masala. So good. Anyway, what can you do to find joy today? Basically, is my coming around from all of that is like quarantini. I can't do any more quarantinis. I've stopped buying tonic because it was just getting a bit ridiculous. I'm just like, no, I don't need a drink. Like, I can't keep numbing the pain in this manner, but I can certainly numb it with a naan bread. I've just been finding ways to sort of things to look forward to and little victories, really. And that's probably my kind of big tip from the last week or so, is like find the little victories, find a little victory in every day, whether it's sneaking upstairs and sitting on your bed and sneaking a chapter of a book for 10 minutes, or brewing a biscuit or something. You've got to just sneak a little bit of time, just a little bit of cheeky treat time for you, rather than the big things. Like nobody can commit to half an hour soaking in a Epsom salts bath. Like, nobody's got time for that, but nobody can sit still that long. But, just a few cheeky little treats go a long way. So in terms of knitting then, like, what about the knitting, Joe? It's 28:20 and we've not had any real knitting chat yet. And that's because there hasn't been a lot of knitting, and this is something that I know I've seen a lot. I've had the odd brief scroll through Instagram. I've been trying to stay off it, to be honest. I tend to go in there, have a look if anyone sent me a message. I'll put like something like, it's almost like a stream of consciousness, my stories of like what's going on or something that's amused me. And then that's it. I don't stay on there because I just find it aggravating. Not quite in the same way that Facebook is aggravating, because Facebook's annoying me now. It annoys me anyway, but this whole like the COVID police are out in force over there. So I try not to go on that. But I've been trying to stay off social completely and try and just be. And if I get annoyed, just go dig in the garden. So the knitting has kind of been massively on the back burner for me, and other people are just feeling like they can't pick it up. And it's a bit weird because it's one of those things that often we go to if we want to just kind of like, calm the mind and do something with your hands and make something, or you feel inspired or creative or whatever. It's one of those things you go to quite often for that purpose. So I think people are finding it difficult when they don't want that. They're like, this is the way that I normally cope with it, with anything. If I need to process, I come to my knitting. It grinds me. It's my thing. And then they're like, I can't touch it. I can't pick it up. And I have found quite a bit of that. I've got this jumper on the go, and I've obviously got some kind of mental block about this jumper that all I need to do is measure the length of it, because I'm nearly at the point where I can do the ribbon cast it off. But to measure the length of it, I need to move it all onto a longer cable, and I can't be arsed. Like, I can't be arsed to do it, which sounds really bad, but I'm just like, I just can't face the idea of moving all those stitches and measuring it. I can't be arsed. Which is really, it's not bad, but I mean, that's just the level that's at, where I'm just like, that, it's not even, doesn't require any brain power, it just requires 15 minutes of sitting down, but I can't get past that. And it's not that I'm not enjoying the pattern or the yarn, or I don't want to wear it. Well, obviously I don't want to wear it right now because I would die, literally. That's why I've got the window open, because I'm at the front of the house and the sun comes in and I would literally die of heat exhaustion. This room is really warm. So, and now someone's like, cutting the grass outside. Hopefully it will be cut off from the background noise by Crisp. I'm hoping. If not, just roll with it. You're in suburbia now, baby. So yeah, I find it really strange, and I think that's where the reading of fiction has gone up like the COVID curve, and the knitting has gone down like the number of people on London transport. So just giving you some visuals you're used to seeing there, peeps. So yeah, I haven't got an answer, because sometimes I want to pick it up and do it, and other times I don't. Like, Tiger King gave me an outlet for the knit, and then I'm like, Tiger King's finished, the knitting's finished. So I don't know if that means I need to watch more crap telly or what, but I'm not fighting it. I'm going with the flow at the moment. I'm not struggling. When the car starts to skid, take your hands and feet off the pedals and wheels until it regains traction. That's my attitude. Don't try and fix it, you'll only make it worse. So that's what I've been doing. But in the meantime, I've also been looking at patterns and trying to keep my eye in with stuff like that. So I did go, after finally, like weeks later, go and acquire the Evolution pattern book, pattern set by Susan Crawford. Now, I was talking about a pattern from this when I was talking about DK sweaters, because I've got that beautiful yarn from South Africa that I want to make a sweater out of. And this was one that was mentioned, and I came around to it, and Claire Devine has just knitted this pattern, and she said it was a great pattern. So I'm like, right, cool, sold, done. So I went and bought that, which was £25 from Susan's website, which is susancrawfordvintage.com, I think. .co.uk will get you there anyway, I'm sure. And that way I'm going to get a printed copy. When it's all completely finished, I'll get the printed copy, but I've now got my PDF copies, and as the patterns get updated, I will get the PDF patterns. And it's Orchidaceae. If you haven't listened to that episode, the jumper that I wanted. So it's got a lace kind of leafy pattern around the yoke, and the rest is just stocking stitch. It looks really nice. I think it's one of those, it looked really good with jeans, something you can kind of throw over. You could throw it on and wear a scarf with it in kind of autumn. The yarn's a really beautiful colour. I've resolved that I'm only going to wear that colour, I think, now. Blue and red, and that's it. I'll just get rid of all the rest of my clothes. I'm clearly having a massive life clear out right now. So I'm not wearing any colours that are ugly anymore. On me, anyway. No colour is ugly. Any colours that are ugly on me, or that don't make me look amazing. Let's just put it like that. Let's try and put a positive spin on it, Jojo. So I've bought Orchidaceae, so I'm excited about that. And also in there is Denby, which is a pattern for a colourwork hat. And the crown of the hat looks amazing. She's taken a lot of the inspiration for this from Vintage Shetland Project, which she talked about in an earlier episode. I'll have to link to it in the show notes. She's done two interview episodes. One was 56, the next one was 90 odd, but I can't remember the number exactly, but I'll put both of the links in the show notes for you. And she's always been into really vintage patterns and knitwear and stuff, and she's super stylish. Like, I love what she does with it and all the styling of the photographs and everything. Like, I really like that. What she's done with this is she's taken the inspiration from some of those patterns from Vintage Shetland and kind of taken elements of them but updated them so that they're really wearable and modern for now. Because if you don't have a very vintage aesthetic, it can be quite hard to wear some of these older patterns without looking a little bit weird. Like, you need to have a bit of an eye for that era to make it work and match in. But she's taken elements of it and made them like really wearable pieces. And I really like the hat, the Denby hat. So I'm definitely going to make one of those. I'm hoping I might have enough left over from the Excelana yarn I bought to do compass with, which is the jumper I'm knitting right now. But if not, I know I've got a load of like DK weight yarns, single skeins lying around that could be really nice to knit that with. And I think it could look really good with the contrast colour done even in a variegate, as long as it hasn't got the main colour in the variegate. I think it looks super cool. You could do some kind of like neon in it and all of that if you wanted. Like, it looks really wearable, the pattern. And it's like a beanie size, and then like a, what's it called? Slouchy hat size, so with a bit more in the crown. So really cool. And that's, only 5 of the patterns. So the rest of the patterns, I don't know what they will be like, but I feel like I've definitely got my money's worth even with those 2 patterns. So I'm going to be looking at doing that. I did falter because there is a Tin Can Knits pattern that I had in my library and popped out to me, and I was like, oh, I didn't realise I had that there. But it does have acres of reverse stocking stitch in it, but it is a really nice V-neck jumper. So I'm not sure. I'm agonising. Might just have to buy some different yarn and do that one as well. But that's like going to be my next kind of big sweater project. Although I do need to finish the one I've got now as well. But I'm also hankering for a bit of beaded lace. I'm feeling the need for a bit of boo knits again. I love boo knits patterns and I love beaded knitting. It's not very kind of, some people hate it because you can't get into a rhythm with it because you have to keep stopping and putting the beads on. But for me, I'm like, every bead just looks so pretty. I'm just like, I love beads. I'm such a magpie. I love the beads, just so glittery and not so pretty. Like, I enjoy it. So I can see that in my future. But I don't have enough beads in the house. I'm going to have to find someone who can mail order beads. And finally today, I managed to cancel the redirection. I've been trying to cancel for 6 weeks. So I can finally get things sent to my house, which would be amazing. So yeah, that's with the knitting. I've also been asked a lot by people about finding knitting yarn, first up, because there's a lot of people who used to knit and haven't been knitting, and now they're stuck at home, they want to knit again. So I've been asked about finding like baby acrylics and stuff, and obviously went wild in the aisles with that. I'm like, what's your price point? Which pattern are you going to knit? Blah, blah, blah. Well, there's this and this and this and this and this and this. And this person's local and that person's there and this person's there. So you could go in person if you wanted any more. Like a full up like consultancy report on where you're going to find Sirdar Snuggly in the Northwest. And love a bit of Sirdar Snuggly. I did recommend the new West Yorkshire Spinners one as well. That's got Falkland Merino in. Love a bit of Falkland Merino. But also been people in the group asking about resources for like beginner knitters, and obviously my brother's girlfriend I mentioned, Les, has started wanting to knit. She's been doing quite a lot of loom knitting actually, and she did him some little bed socks with the loom as well. I don't really know how to use a loom, I just use needles, but she's been working on that. So in the next episode, what I think I will do is pull together some good resources for beginner knitters, because all resources are not equal, and certainly all YouTube videos are not created equal. I really like Very Pink Knits. I think she does a great job, but there's a lot of rubbish out there and there's a lot of it. So I'm going to pull together some of my favourite bits and pieces for that. So if anyone asks you or wants to start knitting and you are a knitter, you can just direct them to that and they can crack on, because it seems to be all the rage. We've even got like Campaign for Wool, we've even got influencers doing knitting now. But I've also been thinking about doing some crochet. Now, my crochet extends pretty much to admiring amigurumi patterns for fringe knitting items, or crochet items rather, fringe patterns, which, as you know, is a devotion of mine. I'll probably get an MBE for services to fringe knitting patterns at some stage. Such is my devotion to funny knitting patterns, and there'll be some more of those in the next couple of episodes. But I've also been thinking about doing a crocheted African flower blanket. I have a bag full of Nurturing Fibres, bamboo cotton and eco cotton yarn that I was sent by Carle a while ago. And I'd seen once when I was out in Louis Tricard in this really pretty shop, I'd seen an African flower blanket, crochet blanket. It's really beautiful, but it was expensive. and not unduly so. It was definitely the right price for what it was. Like, it wasn't ridiculous at all for what it was. It was definitely worth it, but I just didn't have that amount of spare money to spend on a blanket at that stage. So obviously I didn't buy it, but I've been hankering and wanting one ever since. And I thought, I might get a crochet hook and learn to do something other than a granny square blanket. I can do granny squares, but I've just never really got into the kind of the twisty hand movement of crochet. Like, I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the fabric it creates, really. So I've never really found the need to learn it, because I'm like, well, beyond, doing a crochet chain or whatever, for stuff I might need for knitting, why do I need to do it if I don't like the way that it looks at the end anyway? But I do want this blanket, so I'm thinking about learning that. I know. I feel like one of those proper blowhards that's like, I've learned 15 languages and homeschool my kids and not set fire to the house, and now I'm going to learn crochet as well. Shut up, Barbara, no one cares. But it's not. It's purely overachieving in spikes of areas in between a lot of mediocrity. So please do not feel bad, because it's just definitely not that. There's a reason why I've removed Altonic from my shopping lists. So yeah, I'm going to do that. So if anyone's I've got the Heidi Bears, South African Heidi Bears. I've got her African flower tutorial and the blanket pattern as well, I think. So I'm going to start with that, and I'll see how I get on. But if there's any good crochet tutorials out there that you know of, let me know, because I can add those in to the end of the knitting one as well. Should be cool. And other than that, as I said, I've been doing a lot of reading. I am on Goodreads. Some of you have come and made friends with me, which is awesome, because I've got some really good recommendations. I only want to be friends with people so I can steal their recommendations, like see what they're reading and see if I want to read it. You can find me at goodreads.com/Jo Milmine. That is me. You can add me and I can see what you're up to, what you're reading. I'm doing the reading challenge. I'm doing 52 books in 52 weeks. I'm a little bit behind at the moment. 1 book behind. Probably 2, because I didn't really read the Terry Pratchett Christmas one twice. It just went in twice and I don't know how to delete it. I've got to say, the app for Goodreads isn't amazing. It's good for getting information on it's like Ravelry. Ravelry is amazing, but the UX isn't sparkly, and it's the same with Goodreads. And I can't figure out how to delete it. So I'm probably 2 books behind, mostly because I keep reading really thick books instead of thin ones. And I've not been counting all of the kids' books that I read, because obviously I read to Sammy every night. So I've probably kicked the arse out of most of the Horrid Henrys. Oh God, I don't know why I bought those. They are dreadful. Ah, dreadful. And Captain Underpants. He loves Captain Underpants. Tra-la-la! So I have to read those to him as well. Captain Underpants is definitely better. It's a bit funnier. Horrid Henry is just dull. I'm sorry. It's dreadful. And I don't really want to put them in, even though I've clearly read them. I'm not really present when I'm reading them. I'm daydreaming. I'm just reading the words and doing the voices. I'm not really there. But also I don't want to screw up all of my recommendations and if them start recommending even worse kids' books for me to read. So I've not put those in, but I have put the other ones in. And mostly it's been all about Trolls and Wizards and stuff. I do love Terry Pratchett, so I've read pretty much all the Pratchetts. I do like a bit of world building and a bit of like sci-fi, but not too super sci-fi, like not space and all that stuff generally, unless it's really funny, because I do like Red Dwarf. So anything that's like witty. It's mostly the little footnotes that get me with Pratchett. I really enjoy those. So, but obviously I've read them all and he's not going to be writing anymore anytime soon. So I've been reading some other ones, and I bought a few from a shop in Hout Bay, because I love independent bookshops, so I wanted to get some books from there. So I've been all over Tanny Maria. Tanny Maria is written by a South African author called Sally Andrews, and I've read 2 out of the 3 so far. Now, Tanny Maria is lives in Ladysmith, which is a real place, actually. in the Klein Karua, and I drove through it. I bought a pasty in probably the petrol station that she talks about in the books. And all the places she talks about are there. And I was really looking forward to one weekend while I was there going to find all these places she'd spoken about, because they'd taken on this almost like legendary status by the time I'd read even the first book. So I was, like I said, I was really looking forward to seeing these, including like, I think it's called Ronnie's Sex Shop, which is a real place. It's not really a sex shop. They just did it for advertising purposes by all accounts. But I wanted to go see all these places, and obviously I couldn't because I had to spin out of South Africa and leave, which made me very sad. I'm going to put those on my list for when I can use my return ticket that BA won't refund me for. I've got a return ticket from South Africa, just a South African leg that I can't get a refund for. I'm like, but how am I going to get there to book the other end of the ticket? That's ridiculous, BA. Anyway, Tanny Maria, amazing. Just really lovely. Loads of South African isms in it. There's a lot of bliksem in it, and lots of Afrikaans words that I have to kind of go Google because I don't know what they are, and lots of chat about rusks and veldschoenen, which are shoes. Veldschoenen shoes, yeah, and biscuit rusks. And she talks about food all the time. Like, all she talks about is food, and she's always cooking something. And in the back of the books are all the recipes for the food that she's cooking, which are just like, oh, I could just cook everything and eat it all. Like Vetkoek's amazing. Mince, like potjie, all of that. All the recipes are in there. So I've read 2 of those. The first one is Recipes for Love and Murder. The second one is Tanny Maria and the Satanic Mechanic, which I haven't read yet. I need to get a copy of that. So I need to find somewhere here I can get one, because I bought the other 2 in South Africa. And the third one was Death on the Limpopo, which obviously I used to live there. So I'm like, I'm on that. I want that one. Really good. Totally like just a nice story arc, really nice storytelling, lots of kind of nice imagery, and loads of food chat and recipes. Just fun. And it's like a nice, like a kind of strong female protagonist in the middle of it. I love a female, strong female protagonist. So, and all of the South Africanisms just make it really interesting for me. So if you're an Africophile, if you love South Africa and you're into all of that, then they're just dead easy. They're easy reads, but interesting and fun. They're not trash, but they're just nice to read. So I really enjoyed those. I also read one called Unnatural Magic by C.M. Wagner. This was another one that I bought in the Hout Bay bookshop, and I think it's called the Bay Bookshop actually. And I totally fell for the cover. The cover's really interesting. It's black with all this like green ivy and stuff on it, and the picture of this woman, outline of a woman. And that one was a little bit more confusing. It's about trolls and humans and wizards. And there were kind of 2 storylines that went through it. One about this girl, love a strong female protagonist. One about this girl troll, love a strong female protagonist. And they kind of like, there were 2 separate stories, and they kind of come together when they're trying to figure out who killed all these trolls. But the end was a little bit damp. I'm like, but I want to know what happens next. So it was good reading while I was going through it, but it was a little bit kind of all over everywhere, with the different stories. It was like 2 stories in one, but I kind of wanted a bit more from the ending. And I'm finding that a lot with fiction books. I get to the end and I'm like, why have you spent 3/4 of the book warming up, and then everything that happens in 10 pages at the end, and then that's it? Like, why do people keep doing that? I could definitely do a better job than that, I'm sure. Like, I don't think that's how books always used to be, but I'm finding the ones I've picked recently have been a little bit like that, sadly. There's another one called Old Baggage by Lisa Evans. This was a fiction book set in London about someone who used to be a suffragette, basically, who starts up her like girls' club. Again, another story. It was nice. It was kind of heartwarming, and I liked the bits of history in there about the suffragettes, but it never really got going for me. It was just like a nice little story, but there was nothing really happened. There was no real massive dilemma. There was just nothing. It just kind of petered out, but interesting historical detail in it. And then the last one that I read was The Last Smile in Sunder City, which is the first by Luke Arnold. It's like the first in a series. And it is basically just a rip-off of The City Watch and Sam Vimes, but not as good. Don't even like the lead character guy. Like, he's meant to be like all like Sam Vimes and all kind of tortured at the beginning, like he is in the City Watch, like the early City Watch books. But he's not. He's just irritating. The character's just a bit annoying. So, and it's just too close and not as good for me to like it. It's the first one. Maybe the others will get better, but wasn't ideal. So yeah, that's the ones I've been reading recently. I've just started reading Oliphant is Completely Fine. Very interesting. And kind of hammering through that already, which is, yeah, cool. So yeah, if you are on Goodreads and you want to come make friends with me on there, maybe I'll do even a group or something on there, so we can share more stories and ideas between readers who are also knitters who listen to the podcast. We could do some stuff on there maybe. I'm not sure whether it would be better to have it as part of the main group. I'm still working on the aspects of where to host the community side of the podcast, because I'm not happy with it on Facebook. I'm not sure about Ravelry. I find the forums on that are a little bit old school. Although there are people in there still using them for sure. Because I went in there and said, is anyone in here? And they're like, yeah, we're still here, Joe. We still go on here all the time. I would like just someone that would do a few more things. Like, I would like to be able to do things like have like resources, and I have a forum area, but have a place where we could do lives or hangouts, and for it all to be able to be tied together. So I'm still kind of working on how that will work, but yeah, that's where we're up to. So that's all we've got time for this week. Quite a long, rambly, chatty episode, which was kind of what I promised you at the beginning. Bit of a kind of catch-uppy one. Just going to keep you company while you're knitting today. Don't want to, stress you out too much, make you think or anything like that. And as I say, in the next episode, I'll try and pull together some good resources for beginner knitters. So if anyone's coming to you with a new interest in knitting and you want to help them out, you can just refer them this way. And to that end, obviously, you can refer them into the podcast if they want to start listening to podcasts as well. And if there's any of your friends who are knitters who don't listen to the show yet, please send them over. I would love to have some new listeners, love to keep some new people company, and spread the word about the podcast a little bit more. Spread the love. Everyone wants to spread the love. So please do share out the podcast to anyone that you think would be interested. So all we've got left is to say have a great week, happy crafting, and I will speak to you all again soon. Cheers! You've been listening to the Shiny Bees podcast. Show notes for this episode can be found at shinybees.com/142. And music for this episode is very kindly by Adam and the Walter Boys with I Need a Drink, which is available on iTunes.